Did those mRNA COVID-19 non-vaccine vaccines change your DNA if you took them? Now, these were the questions we asked all the way back in 2020 when they were talking about them, and I was called a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. In fact, I had multiple outlets go after me, major outlets, for asking that very question. Now, some of us even lost our jobs for asking these pesky questions. It looks like the conspiracy theorists were right once again. Add that in our column on the scoreboard. And speaking of vaccine side effects, it's been discovered by enterprising medical freedom activists that, quote, the hantavirus is listed as a side effect as well of the COVID vaccine in Pfizer's own documents. Now, you remember that the hantavirus is apparently all the rage amongst the medical fascist community these days. Could it be that it's being caused, though, by side effects from the gene therapy they forced on most people during the pandemic? We're joined now by Dr. Peter McCullough of the Wellness Company. He also has the McCullough Foundation, from which most notable data, I think, Peter, Dr. McCullough, is coming out these days. You all are really, I just want to say this, you all are really leading the charge on data, actual studies as it relates to not just COVID, but many other important issues like vaccine injuries amongst the childhood vaccination schedule, Dr. McCullough. So I'm glad to have you with us again today.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this hantavirus before we get in maybe the DNA changing of the gene therapy, which only makes sense when we're talking about gene therapy, right? Hantavirus apparently was listed as a side effect in his own documents. And then lo and behold, we're in 2026 and hantavirus is the latest scare in the medical community. Coincidental much, Dr. McCullough?
Hantavirus infection is very rare in the United States. There are always a handful of cases every year. It's transmitted from rodent to humans. Remember, Gene Hackman's wife died of it in the desert Southwest. But for a COVID vaccine, how in the world could that show up in a list of anticipated side effects? And then here we are now, several years into the vaccine campaign, the HV Hondius, the ship out there, which has a hantavirus A and D variant outbreak, almost certainly from rodents on the ship. There's no credible evidence that it passed human to human. It may have been in the final throes of life for the first man who died, Mr. Schipperpool. But where we are with that is 200 passengers and crew on the ship, 11 cases, 3 deaths. All the deaths occurred essentially outside the hospital. So anybody who's gotten to hospital care has survived. And we've seen a hyperbolic response from the WHO and CDC, taking on a false narrative that people are highly contagious with hantavirus. And so they're locked into biosecurity centers around the world, including the one in Omaha. It's completely unnecessary, not clinically indicated, not medically necessary. So all I can tell you, it looks like all of this is to prepare people for a hantavirus vaccine.
It definitely seems that way. And also I feel like the WHO is probably using this. It's a convenient pandemic du jour to promote their push for medical surveillance and all of and the push against sovereignty of the countries, right? And they have to have some reason. And since COVID has pretty much ran its course and it's played out, they have to find something else. And this is another convenient narrative for them, wouldn't you say?
I would agree. The WHO almost was looking for something to do. The sad part about the HV Hondius ship incident is the WHO, when they got involved, they should have immediately evacuated the ship, got everybody off. They were in Cabo Verde, an archipelago of 500,000 people, international airport. That's where they should have handled it. Instead, the WHO comes on commando style. They put some of their personnel on the ship. They lock everybody down, and they created more cases, including a poor French woman who's fighting for her life in the ICU at Hospital Bichat in Paris. You can't make this up. The WHO is blundering yet again.
Let me ask you, Dr. McCullough, and I'll go back to where we were at the start of the segment. Hantavirus was listed as a side effect, apparently. But do you think that's a possibility of what's going on here, is that people to the vaccine are the ones that we're seeing with hantavirus? Or is it just that it happens and, like you said, it's being mishandled, it's being used for a certain agenda and a certain narrative? Or is there something to the side effect part of it as it relates to COVID-19 jabs?
It's an intriguing hypothesis that COVID vaccination has altered or weakened the immunity, making people more susceptible to hantavirus. I don't know. The WHO should tell us what is the vaccine status on everybody on the ship, including the cases and the deaths. The WHO should disclose the rodent logs from the ship. They're still hiding those. And they should let everybody out of biosecurity. They can, if they get symptoms, they can get a blood PCR test. So I can tell you right now, the WHO is going down the drain on this, and right with them is the CDC.